Yes.
Good. All right. And then also we'll have some breakaway rooms, all depending on how the session goes. We will also sometimes decide whether we're going to do a breakaway room or are we going to just chat in the chat box or talk to one another. It looks as if it's a small enough group that we can do that. So thank you for sharing where you're from, your surname and your location. I think it is so dynamic to have people all over the world attending this ABCD conference. So welcome to each and every one. I won't be able to see the chat every time, so Anne will share with me and share with us if there's anything in the chat, please, Anne. All right.
I will do that. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that joined us now?
Yes,
Okay.
there's a few people that has joined us, but I think you can continue.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Now my screen, I also want to share, I know that most of you, who of you did attend previous sessions? Just quickly put a hands up in the chat box. Did you attend? A thumbs up or a thumbs down, or yes or a no, so that we can know. Who of you have attended any previous sessions during this 2 days?
Janine says yes. Many sessions says Alison. Chris says yes.
Okay, so it seems as if you know about the ebook that's coming. Make sure that you also look at the ebook site and tell your stories. Make sure that it's included and that we can share the feel-good type of things that's happening all over the world. Also make sure that you are, when you start talking, that we can that you unmute yourself, you know the procedures, and then also you know all these other type of things that we are talking about. So what's happening is that tonight we would like, or today we would like to share with you our ABCD community empowerment model that we are using in a private company, which is an engineering company, and we are co-creating human-centric approaches to impact engineered solutions. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, but what we are doing is that we are combining infrastructure and development in areas in South Africa and Africa with a human-centric approach. And we've used a specific model where ABCD was our baseline, and we created a model for ourselves. And we would like to test this model today with you. So what we are saying is that empowerment starts with you as an individual. You influence your family. Obviously, it's got a ripple effect. Your family influences their friends, colleagues, and the groups that they belong to. They influence the bigger community. The community influences the town, then the province, and then eventually the nation. And I think that's what this conference is all about. So in South Africa, we are using a sustainable asset-based approach. And if you look at the model that we've got on the right-hand side, that is what we're going to test with you tonight. And we would like, or today, sorry about that, and we would like you to give us feedback, honest feedback. Tell us, what do you think? Where can we improve? What can we do? And we're going to share our model with you so that we can test and build on that. So who are we? It's Amelia, the left-hand side, and Anne on the right-hand side. And together, I think we've got over 64 years of experience. So we sound as if we're very old, but we've got lots of knowledge and experience. And we were trained with some of the people that's even on this call, Janine, and as ABCD trainers in 2010, I think, and then we integrated ABCD in everything that we do. I think there's some people in South Africa that is almost like tired of our infiltration that we are doing all over South Africa. And I think we are passionate type of ABCD implementers. So this is who we are. So let's quickly start with a poll. I would like you to quickly look at which country has the highest unemployment rate. Now, if you go to the chat, you'll see that there is a link at the top of the chat. I want you to click on that link. Can everybody see the link? You click on the chat, on the link itself, and then you'll see if the question says, which country has the highest unemployment rate? Then you'll see, you'll get the different options. And you can then click, and then you can also choose your own options. And I would like to see, as soon as you've clicked the option, then you will see the next one comes up and you have to choose. So will each one of you do that so that we can have an idea of what it is that you are thinking? I hope it's working. It's the first time that I'm doing this, so I hope we will be able to see. So I'm doing mine now, so if you can do yours, and then I will check and we will be able to see the voting system. I don't know, where's my... Did everybody do this? Oh, I've tested this just now. Now I can't see it. So just give me a second so that I can check for you.
I've shared the link again at the bottom. So those that are struggling.
All right. I want to share my screen again so that you can see. Okay, so it's still coming in. It looks as if most people say the highest is currently in Greece. Then the second highest is Brazil, then South Africa, and then United States, then Japan, and then Germany. Very interesting. And I think even if we look at what's happening in Greece, it might be that you've got some facts there, but let's quickly share what the true facts are. You look at, can you see my screen?
It is blank.
Can you see it now?
Not yet.
Still blank.
I can see it.
You are
now there.
Yeah, we can see.
Can you see it now? All right, so if you look at the map, you'll see that at this stage, United States, 5.2%. Look at where South Africa is, 34.4%. And this was done in 2021. Greece at 14.6%, Brazil 14.1%, Japan 2.8%, and Germany at 3.6%. So the official unemployment rate in South Africa is now 34.4%. So this means, if you look at the map there at the bottom, the dark side, that is where there's 7.8 million jobless people in South Africa. And what they say is that the trend is that we don't have enough youth that's got jobs. And then also COVID didn't play so very well with these type of environments. And then also in the labor market, it's more, they favor more men than women, even the mining environment. So the unemployment rate is really, really very high in South Africa. And we know this. We've seen that there is a very, very big use for ABCD, and that even the work that we are doing is so small. So why do you think South Africa is so far ahead? Let's quickly have some conversations. I don't even think we need to just raise your hand and quickly talk to me and tell us, why do you think South Africa is specifically so high?
When Fred, your hand is up, you can talk.
Yeah, compared to other African nations, South Africa is seen as a better off country economically. So you do get a lot of migration from other African countries coming into South Africa. Yeah.
No. Okay, that might be a possibility. Anybody else? Conrad, you are in government. Do you know why it might be so high? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, Amelia, you always do that. Yeah, I don't know where my video is. I've got video problems. Oh, you should be seeing me anyway. But anyway, it's the structure of our economy and a function of our market, but also more over and above that. Also, it's like we're dealing with serious legacy issues from the the apartheid type of systems, economy, market, and even society that we had. I mean, the skills that you invest today, you only probably 10 to 15 years later benefit from those skills. So there was a very low investment of skills, but also just the whole way our society was constructed and the relationships between people and the economy. So yeah, and of course, like post-democracy, we didn't do well to overcome that legacy also. So yeah, yes, it's a function of skills, it's a function of access, it's a function of market, etc. Yeah, let me stop there. Thanks, Amelia.
Thank you, everybody. So, and I think this is the type of thing that we would like to find out, is that the voices of our people are important. But I would like us to, how many people is in the group currently, because I can't see the group. I would like 3 groups if we can do. And then the one group, the first group, I would like you to look at, why do you think the voices of people are important? Because that is something that's happening in South Africa, that it's still a very top-down approach and very autocratic in the, can I say, inclusion of our citizens and our communities in many projects. So I would like the first breakaway group to look at, why do you think the voices of people are important? And then the second group, I would like you to, how can we ensure that communities are heard, that people can hear their voices? What can we do? And then the third group, I would like us to look at, why is it important to create a safe space where communities can voice their opinion, ideas, and dreams? So
There are 12 people in the group, so I would suggest then we have three groups.
that will be perfect. So
Amelia, just put the questions up again so that we can paste it in the different rooms.
Hi. Okay, it's just Anne. His Pulu is coming. Pulu's coming, so I'm gonna assign Pulu.
Thank you.
Hi, Pulu. We're gonna assign you to a breakout room.
Pulu, you can join the breakup room 3. Okay, she's gone.
And do you know how long we're going to be in the breakout rooms? You think it's 10 minutes?
We didn't say anything, hey?
Mm.
I would imagine 10 minutes. Do you know what time did we start?
Yeah, no, I'll just count now from maybe 25.
Okay,
I'll
thank
give
you.
him a 3-minute warning
Thank you.
in 5 minutes. Hi, Pulu. Pulu, are you there?
All right, group one. Let's quickly find out, what do you think, why do you think the voices of people are important? Will somebody just give feedback about that question?
I think I was in group one. Hi, it's Winifred here. Our conversation really was around an analogy of the shoe. And there is the old saying that goes like this, that it is the person who wears the shoe that feels the pinch.
For sure.
Yes. So it is very important for those people who feel the pinch to be able to have a say on what's important for them. And also that there's no one size fit all. So people, it is important to hear voices of all the people, of particularly those that are marginalized in society. It could be women, it could be the elderly. There was an example given for fishermen out there who don't have that opportunity to have a say. We also talked about, sorry, about the need to create a platform for everyone to share information, and just because there are many gatekeepers who prevent, information flow either to those marginalized people or from those, and therefore creating conducive environment platforms for those marginalized people to talk, to have a say is quite important. Yes. So we also talk about lack of access to technology that could be a hindering factor for people to have a say. So those are the things that could be addressed to just ensure that people have access to technology or facilities so that their voices can. Yeah.
And then also get past the gatekeepers, because there's some people that's preventing people to actually get information. So I think that is a wonderful feedback. Thank you so much for group one. Group two, how can we ensure that communities are heard? What can we do? Who will give us feedback about that?
Conrad and Samuel, I see the men are keeping quiet, so I guess I must say something.
Yeah, please, Janine, they will follow.
We were saying that people who take the initiative are important. We need to have people who are willing to take the initiative. But then added to that, we also need to make sure that there is good leadership, because there can be someone who wants to initiate something, or a small group in a community who wants to initiate a particular, maybe a water project or something. And unless there is good leadership that is going to ensure that that thing happens, then the level of trust within the community and the leaders is going to be broken, because people will feel like, I go to these meetings, I talk, I say what it is that we need in this area, and nobody listens to me, nobody takes up the project and makes sure that it's implemented. So initiators, early initiators was important, but then the leadership that needs to also be there to make sure that those ideas are made into reality. And then also we were saying in many, because we were Burundi and South Africa, people seem shy to speak, and we don't know quite how to do it, but I think there needs to be a push to enable people and to encourage people to feel like, I can speak and I should speak, and if I do speak, I will be listened to. And I think that is a big, those kind of community activists, how do you make people feel like it's worth the effort of going and speaking at a meeting, or putting my hand up and saying, this is what I would like to see happen in my community? I think there's an apathy, or a feeling of, I'm not going to bother, you know, I may as well sit at home and watch football, because if I go to that meeting, no one's going to listen to me anyway. So
For sure.
But
I think, Janine, it also happens, it all depends on the culture as well, because I've seen that if we have these type of meetings and it is like in KwaZulu-Natal where it's a Zulu type of culture, then the women don't speak. So we need to also then create opportunities so that we can hear those voices where women-only groups can then be part of that. So I think this leads into a lot of discussion that we will have on the next slides. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. So let's quickly see why is it important to create a safe space where communities can voice their opinion, ideas, and dreams. And I think it links to what Conrad and Samuel and Janine spoke about, but let's hear from this group. Number 3, what did you say? Is there
we talked about
Yeah.
the importance of invitation, as well as Jim put it, and I put it on the ski wall that's in the Idea Kids Cafe, disrupt trust, disrupt distrust. And I thought that was a helpful framework. And so recognizing that we ask people to tell their stories, and that's a vulnerability, and we should see that as a gift.
Wow. Thank you. That is amazing information. All right. So I think we are all over the world listening to people, doing our, can I say, influence and assisting communities to really, through the asset-based type of approach, get to hear their voices. And you all know ABCD, asset-based development. And what we are saying is that we know, and all of us know, that communities can drive their own development process. But sometimes it's unrecognized assets. And if we don't listen to the voices of our people, whether it's marginalized or whether it's the no shoes type of thing, or that the shoe is not fitting everybody, and we don't create environments where they can create local economic opportunities, we are going to sit with an unemployment rate and it will not change. So through ABCD, we can really do that, and we can connect people with the projects, and we can leave a legacy. But I think that is where our model comes in. And I quickly want to share with you a story of the man with the 4 hearts, which is linked to this marginalized person that actually was part of a group of people that we started working with, a toll concessionaire in South Africa. And this guy was the man with the 4 hearts. And he was part of a process where we advertised asset-based community development for youth and unemployed youth. And Msebisi was the one that actually got the job. He was very good in his interview. So this man, can you see him there at the top? He became one of our champions. And one afternoon, I just took them out under a tree and I said, okay, tell me, what did you learn about ABCD? And he was like in trouble. His face was worried. And I said, what's happening in Msebisi? And he said, Amelia, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm the one that's burning tires. I'm the one that's doing hate speech. I am not supposed to be here. I feel as if I'm learning something about ABCD, but my forefathers and my father, my grandfather, they've done these type of riots in South Africa, and that's what I know. That's how I know we need to change the world and get some attention. So it was like in, oh my word, what do we need to do? And everybody in my team said, no, we need to let him go. The client, you can see them there in between. They also said, how are we going to handle this? Because we don't want this activist, negative person in our group. And I said, let's leave this guy. I want to ask them to go back that evening and come back with a clay activity explaining what they've learned about ABCD. And I thought, Msebisi is not going to come back. Msebisi was the first one that came to the session. And he said, this is my clay activity. He had a red heart in the middle, then a black, then a white, and then a yellow heart. And then he said, when I was born, I had a red heart pumping with energy. I was ready to take up my space in the world. And then my whole family passed away. I did not know what to do. I felt lost. I didn't know where do I fit in and why was I the only one that stayed behind. And he said, and then he met a pastor, and this pastor told him, you've got purpose in life. And he said he didn't understand what his purpose is. And then the yellow heart is the group that is sitting around him today that has got this ABCD skills, and they gave him purpose again. And he wants to say thank you to ABCD and the difference that it made in his life. So this was one person. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. He was part of the process, and we said, just trust the process. So I would like to quickly share a video of Msebisi with you, and let me know whether you can hear the sound. Can you hear?
Not yet.
Can you hear now?
No, not yet.
No, I think you need to possibly stop sharing and then reshare with the other buttons.
Okay. Oh yeah, there you are.
Post and then
Okay, I'm gonna read. Can you hear?
Yes.
Cool.
my name is Mqebisi and my surname is Magunjwan. I'm from Ward 32. I became involved in this project last year. I saw the post and then I applied online. Then they called me for an interview. ABCD project, which is assets-based community development. So this project is about improving the community standard of living. It even helps us to know what we have in order to do what we want to do. I've decided to start with a small garden. As you see here, this is my small garden. I didn't spend a lot of money in order to do this garden. I just used plus minus 20 rand just to buy the seeds. And then I planted the seed. As you see now, the carrot is growing. So I keep on telling the others what they can do in order to change their lives, as I did.
All right, so Msebisi went further, and in COVID time, he actually started advertising on his cell phone what he's doing, and he got more and more people involved. And it also, they were struggling with water in the area, and then he went to the municipality to find out what is it that they can do. He got the people in the area to assist him, and they actually made sure that they've got water in the area as well. It went so far that he, in the end also, because of the work that he's doing, got other people on board, and they did a livelihood creation where they did a Eat What You Grow vegetable garden project. And we worked hand in hand with these communities so that we can assist them in telling their stories, showing that they've got some information and that they've got local knowledge, listening to what their suggestions were about the project. And in the end, we trained another 105 people in this. So what I would like you to quickly in the chat box, just say there, what other assets do you think Msebisi can still use to build on a business or to build on the assets that he's got? If anybody, you can type in the chat box, what do you think? You've heard he's got seeds, he's got a very small vegetable patch that he used. What else? He used his WhatsApp. What else can he use? And will you give me feedback about what people are saying?
I will do that, yes. His confidence and self-belief, Janine.
Mhm. And can you believe it's that guy that actually was a negative leader, according to certain people, but he had leadership skills. So he had personal assets that he could use, and that was part of that. Okay.
James
Anything?
says involve others with an interest in gardening from the neighborhood.
Yes.
Connecting in community to buy or market, Chris. Conrad, his friends and family.
For sure. So,
His previous successes, Janine.
and Janine, you've been involved with this Bakwena group of ours, and you've seen BC in the beginning, very shy guy, but in the end, he became one of our champions. So he used his assets, and look at the next program.
Eat What You Grow, it's like improving people's lives by using what they have in order to get what they want. There is no need for you to spend a lot, only use what you have in order to get what you want. To me, it means a lot because at that time, it was just like a small garden, and I didn't think maybe the Zutari will come and see it, but they come and see it. So I've decided, let me just make it grow. That's why I started to go around and look for some space. That's why I've met Mom Alina. They didn't know what I'm doing here. They just saw me planting, but now some of them, they were here just to check what's going on here. So I think it's a good impact. Now they will see and learn, okay, if you want to be independent, let's just do like this. So if anyone wants to start his or her own garden, I can say him or she must start it because it's easy, and he or she will not spend a lot. He will just use only what he or she have in order to do what he wants to do.
So again, he used these assets, and I think that is what's so amazing. It sounds like something small, but he used what he had, and he used all the different skills in the area, but also the natural capital that was from Mom Selena. And they actually got a business at this stage that they are selling vegetables and also providing vegetables for a soup kitchen. So again, it says, let's start where we are and use what we have and do what we build and what we know. So our holistic approach that we would like to share with you is this whole thing of the citizen that's in the middle. So we talk about citizen-led or community-led development. And Msebisi is the guy that was there in the middle. And we see that each person is important. So doesn't matter who you are, what your rank is, whether you're employed or unemployed, whether you marginalized, disability, whether you are a fisherman, doesn't matter. A citizen has got a voice. And when we listen to that citizen, we actually also understand that they've got the skills of the heads, the hearts, and the hands. You all know about the heads, hearts, and hand skills, ne? Janine, I know you know, everybody knows. So what we've done is the heads, hearts, and hands, we also combined health. And that was even before COVID came in. And we said, but when we've got hands, we can give and we can work together. With the heart, we care and we can, what did I write there? Relate. And then when we've got the head skills, we are managing and thinking. And then when we've got our citizen in the middle, it also is about the well-being and our living. So, and I know that you've got a specific idea about citizen-led and how this actually has got an influence on the bigger model. Would you like to add something here?
Yeah, I think when I introduce ABCD to people, I introduce them as asset-based citizen-led development, because for me, it's very important that the person takes ownership of a process of empowerment, whatever that might look like. And like you said in the very beginning, it starts with the individual. So for me, even with the mindset change or the mind shift change, that we start with ABCD, it starts with the individual. The individual needs to shift. And the individual then have the impact in the community.
Exactly. So I think all of you know about the skills of the head, heart, and hand, and the fact that we brought in the health side. I would like you in a breakaway group, and let's do like in a very short session, 5 minutes, where we can, in ABCD, we talk about the gifts of the head, hearts, and hand, but our model include health. Do you think it makes sense to add health, and why? So in the different breakaway groups, can you have a discussion and then give us feedback? Let's do about 5 minutes and then we get back.
Marisa?
Yeah. Ndai, can you hear us?
Yes, you can. I can hear you. I just want to ask you, when Amelia comes back into the room, before she starts, we need to give an indication of time because it's an hour left.
Yes, no, she knows. I told her on WhatsApp.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so she knows. So I said, this one is just half an hour. Diari, are you there? Oh, okay, just checking. Yeah, she knows it's an hour.
Thank you.
And then I'll probably bounce off. Just checking.
Maybe you should, while they're gone, just give me a crash course if there's any other breakaway courses that I could, breakaway sessions.
So you just click on more or breakaway.
More there, and then it where
Included because it's already included in the other 3.
Yes, that's what we said.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that feedback. So what we said is that then we go further, and when we've got the citizen, we do ABCD training, you know, ABCD, and then we've got a green light tool. Some of you from South Africa know that we are integrating this into our thinking and in our programs. So perhaps between
Amelia, just share the presentation again. The presentation on shared.
Oh, is it not sharing?
No.
Okay, sorry. It's like in not having your
We can't see it.
there. Can you see now?
Yes.
All right. So there's the ABCD, and then we've got the green light tool. And perhaps you can just give a little bit feedback about that and how we integrated this into our model. Anne?
Okay, the green light tool is a socio-economic measurement tool that basically measures the level of poverty within a household. And the household can be the households that we work with in the community, which would be any community. So what we do is we take a baseline measurement with a poverty stoplight. It's got 50 indicators. It's a holistic approach to poverty alleviation, and it addresses 6 dimensions of poverty. These are the dimensions that it covers. It covers income and employment, health and environment, housing and infrastructure, education and culture, organization and participation, inferiority and motivation. So yeah, if you can go to the next slide, Amelia, please. So basically what we do is through qualified facilitators, we go into a household. If I can just tell a little bit of a story about that. We go into a household and we facilitate a process in a household that is a self-evaluation process with a visual survey tool that allows the family to self-diagnose the quality of life as a first step in the development of a strategy to develop a better life for them. Through this process, they take ownership of the things that they need to change in their own lives. And after this process, what happens is that we put an action plan together with the family. We put an action plan in place to help them shift those indicators that they are not, that they didn't get to a green, for example. So just go to the next slide and I can explain. So the indicators of the green light tool is 3. It's like a robot that we call here in South Africa, or a stoplight. Red is for I'm stuck. Yellow or green, yellow or orange is for I'm trying but I'm struggling, or green is I'm okay and I'm building confidence. So the different indicators, when they show up, obviously what we want to do is we want to move a household out of poverty from if they are in a red, if they chose a red where they are stuck, the idea is that they then take up that specific indicator as in an action plan to help them move, and they need to come up with an action of how they're going to move forward to get to either an orange or they're going to get to a green. It takes some time. So when we start with a project as a baseline, we do this survey, and after our intervention with a specific community or a specific project or a program over a period of time, we then do a post assessment and we look at the results of that. This helps us to give feedback to our clients to show the impact of the return of investment. So yeah, that is basically it. The whole idea is to conduct the survey in the home of the people where the family is present, so that the family can make an input into the types of questions that are asked, and that the family then can move together and help themselves move out of poverty.
All right, thank you. And I think that is what's making our model very interesting, because we are doing asset mapping through our ABCD approach, but then we've also got the green light tool where we use qualitative and quantitative data. So in the chat box, if you can just say, can access to qualitative and quantitative data really add value to community development work? What do you think? Is it necessary to really go into so much detail? And does it really make a difference to the client and the community? What is your opinion about that?
Stories can be used. Let me just go to the chats. Stories can be used for qualitative data for themes. And that's Alison.
Yes. So themes like in for projects, is that what you are saying?
Alison. So the qualitative data that we collect is basically the story of the family, of where they are, what their homes looks like, what their job situation looks like, what the family situation looks like, maybe what their dreams and aspirations is, and how they see themselves moving out of the situation that they find themselves currently in.
So the Greenlight tool is a household survey tool that we are using, and ABCD is a community survey type of asset mapping that we are using. So two are actually complementing one another. Janine,
okay, so here's some more feedback. Amelia, Karen say, I think that if the community is involved in developing the ideas for what should be measured and what they then create, then they create their own evaluation tool. That's an interesting observation, if I can give feedback. So what we try to do with the poverty stoplight in South Africa is to compare apples with apples and pears with pears. So if the community come up with their own survey tool, it's nice because then it is community-based or family-based. But in South Africa, because of the high levels of poverty and the high levels of unemployment, we want to see what is the trends. And with the poverty stoplight, we are able to do that. So Janine says it can be very useful, but we must ensure that confidentiality is maintained if community members are to trust us as facilitators. That is true. Janine and I have done many facilitation processes in South Africa over a long period of time. So we make sure that everything that we collect, all the data that are collected, are confidential. And Chris say, I support Janine.
All right. And I think that is also, we've got the Protection of Personal Information Act in South Africa now as well. So I think in everything that we do, because we're doing asset mapping and ABCD, it is crucial for us to make sure that it is confidential. But I hear that there's a role for qualitative and quantitative data. Is that that I can pick up? Conrad, it looks as if you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, because I type very slowly. Yeah, this is quite interesting, and it I agree. We compare pears with pears and apples with apples, and then just below that could be how do communities actually sort of claim ownership of what they generate, so that it's not as if the typical studies about communities as subjects, so we must also be careful about that.
Yes.
Yeah, we must also be careful about that dynamic. So the apples will be compared with apples, but they would be internally into the community or into the group or whatever specific areas or emphasis that they would like to see. The issue of confidentiality is very important. I would not want to be exposed as a household, how poor I am compared to the next household. But I think quantitative data can also be very creatively used and presented as a community data. But we must also be careful in terms of, data in terms of deficits, because we still talk poverty, and data in terms of wealth. So even how poor there is wealth. So how do we present that for communities or groups to take ownership of that and then determine what they do with that data. So that will be actually a very interesting field experiment in terms of created grounded theory. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks,
I didn't
Conrad. And I
confuse you.
think that is exactly what the Greenlight tool does. It's a personal household survey, and there's an action plan for that household to say, all right, you've got a lot of green, or there is green, but there's some areas of improvement, and that they determine it themselves, and then they've got certain action plans that they put in place so that they can drive the process themselves. Janine and Anne, would you like to add to that?
No, I think what Conrad has said is extremely valuable and definitely needs to be considered on all the areas that he's mentioned. But I think he's spot on with that. And just to mention, I'm so used to saying poverty stoplight, but actually poverty stoplight in South Africa has changed their name to Greenlight, because we don't want to put the label of poverty as we work with ABCD. We don't want to reinforce that type of language. So
because we're working appreciative. No. Yes. Right. Thank you. And thanks, everybody. So when we take our model a little bit further, we also realize that while we are busy with ABCD and this Greenlight tool, we're also doing enterprise development, and we're also doing life skills training. And that is part of ABCD. And it's also part of the poverties of the Greenlight tool. So there's in the chat box, the next poll. I would like you to quickly click on that, and can you share it? Let me share it in the chat box as well.
Yes, I've shared it. It's I've shared it. It's there.
So this last one.
Yes, I did. It's there. They can click on it.
Okay. Thank you. Can enterprise development and skills transfer alleviate poverty? Yes, no, maybe. What are you thinking? Right. I've got three people already voted. Everybody voted. Interesting. Some people say yes, and some people say maybe. So I would love to hear the some comments on this. Just why do you think it is a definite yes? Anybody that would like to add? We believe that enterprise development skills transfer really can assist with people taking ownership. It all depends on the process, but we would like to hear from you. Anybody that would like to share ideas?
Yes, I've definitely seen communities in Brazil and Peru and Indonesia that have moved out of poverty through developing their own enterprises. So that's why I voted yes.
Yes, and we've seen it as well. But it is also a development process. So if it is not part of the whole model and it's not a long-term solution, Karen, we've seen that it is a one-year process through ABCD is not going to be able to change that. So we say it's a holistic approach, but it's also a development phase type of approach. So do you agree with that? Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else that would like to share?
I said maybe because to me, skills development and enterprise development on its own is not enough. You have to have the system and the economy and the policies and all of those things supporting enterprise development, because we have seen studies where people have been given training in construction, for instance, but then there's no construction work to be done in their communities. And so what use are those skills to them? So there has to be, like you say, there has to be that holistic system that says we are developing the skills for a particular reason or for a particular sector, and then those are then integrated into whatever's going to happen in that community. And then it's useful. I think
I hear what you're saying.
just throwing money at skills development has been a problem in the past. It doesn't actually help communities, because now you've got a whole lot of young people all skilled in brickwork, but there's no bricklaying work to be done. So it has to be part of a holistic approach.
Exactly.
And I think, thank you. Yes, I can't see who's talking. Karen, is it you?
I just want to add that when I saw those projects in Brazil and Peru and Indonesia, all of them were part of a comprehensive community development project. And just as an example, the village in Peru, they wanted to double their harvest, so their agricultural harvest. And so at the end of their 5-year plan, they started to do that. But 10 years later, the produce was worth less than half what it was earlier. So they didn't gain anything through that. But part of their vision, their long-term vision, they wanted to have a restaurant. And after 10 years, they actually had 5 restaurants and a resort, and they were attracting wealthy people from Lima, and the income in the community was blossoming all over. So, but it was because there were lots of different things happening. And I guess more profoundly, a big issue was, or is, racism and gender marginalization. And to see the manager of one of these restaurants, who was a short woman of color, the way that she managed a big, so a 6 foot, I don't know in centimeters, but a very tall white man from Lima who was being very bossy in her restaurant. She managed him perfectly and was able to assert, her position. With, it was her restaurant and they were in charge, and that was a very different, deep attitude that really meant a lot to that whole enterprise.
Wow. That is, and I think that is the reason why we say it is a model, it is approach, and we cannot do these type of things in isolation. And that's why we include the life skills, the enterprise development. And I've also seen, Janine, that if we don't have this holistic system, people are tired in South Africa for skills development. They don't want only skills development because there's no job opportunities and there's no tenders or work coming through. And even when people are going to their labor sending areas and they need to go and work there, there's no type of skills needed in the development that they had. So it is also throwing money into that type of endless pit, and it's almost like a leaky bucket type of syndrome that you get if you don't do it in the holistic way.
Amelia, Conrad had his hand up.
Okay, Conrad?
Yeah, sorry, I got cut for a moment, so I guess I missed the meat of the discussion, but I was just thinking, enterprise development and poverty alleviation, that's big That's huge. I wonder if we will ever achieve that. But I think if we simplify it in ABCD thinking, it could be enterprise development to create economic solidarity. And it's only through economic solidarity where you start seeing, you know, on a collective level, communities sort of growing when there's that local type of support as low as possible. Because my poverty could be somebody's richest type of thing, you know. That's the previous speaker, sorry, I missed the name, the Peru experience.
Karen,
Yeah, there could be something around the collective, or the new term on the market is social ownership, but it must be organically grown, and not us outsiders coming in, hey, you must corporatize or whatever, but people have a natural tendency towards that type of collective ownership, and you see it across the economic spectrum. It's just a thought coming up, you know, because we've got very beautiful ideals, but yeah, poverty alleviation, I don't know if I'm going to see it in my lifetime. I hope so. Thanks.
You know what, now each one of us are planting a little seed, and we are hoping and trying and dreaming that we can make a difference in the areas that we are working in. So that was just a question to make us a little bit think about this model. So can I continue to the next slide? I would like us to quickly go through the whole model. When we've got the citizen that's in the middle with the head, heart, and hand, and we've got ABCD green light, we go into enterprise development. We also do life skills. On the left side, top side, we've got the volunteer. So most of the time, we've got the unemployed youth in South Africa, and that is our model. It's not to say that it works the same in any other models. We start off with the volunteer type of position, and we train them in ABCD. And then what happened, like Ms. Visagie and some of the other champions, there's 3 in the one group and about 5 in the other group, etc., that actually developed their life skills in such a way that they also improved their CVs. And some of them got a job. So they're not a volunteer anymore, they're actually a job applicant. And then what is amazing for me is that we've seen now in different areas that we are working in that the enterprise development, and that's the bottom right side, is that there's areas where the champions are becoming the enterprise developer or the business owner, or even sometimes a supplier. But we know that everybody is not a leader when it comes to developing an enterprise. So it is that we can see in the communities and the areas that we work that people can then become a business owner and then also a social enterprise. So we think that this is a good representation of the model and how a citizen can grow into a type of environment so that we can try to alleviate poverty and create that economic solidarity that you are talking about, Conrad. And so we've seen that there's the volunteers, people are becoming, doing applications for jobs and they get the job, they become the business owner, and then also the social enterprises that's also being developed through ABCD. So anything that you would like to add to this? And I know you're very passionate also about the social enterprises, and I think there's some other people on the group that's also very excited about this idea that we've got. So
I think with regards to the social enterprises, I'm at the moment doing leading for healing course, which is a coaching course to help communities deal with trauma. And we have a lot of engagement with other NGOs and social enterprises. And what we find is that with COVID, a lot of the NGOs had suffered very greatly, so much so that they basically are on the verge of closing their doors. But the innovation that came from that is that they then started moving towards social enterprises. And a lot of the Cape Town-based NGOs has started online businesses. That is just phenomenal. That has changed the whole business structure in a way that they are now not 100% dependent on funding or donorship anymore. And I think maybe in future that is going to continue to happen.
So it is actually as if COVID played into their hands, and or that they used innovation and their own assets to build their skills around that.
Yes.
Right. So just we've also combined our model with the United Nations Development Goals. You all know about the Sustainable Development Goals. So we're trying to link what we are doing with our infrastructure and our development, all depending on in which areas we work, that we see what can we do to contribute to these development goals. And that's why it's also included in our model. So I don't think we're going to do breakaway groups. Let's have just a discussion on the presentation and the model that we've used so far or presented so far. Is there anything that you would like to give inputs about, or change, or ask, or challenge? We've heard about the health side and what people are thinking about that. So thank you. That is very useful. Is there anybody else that would like to challenge or give some ideas or inputs on this model of ours? What do you think about it?
Amelia?
Yes, sir. Conrad?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having connection problems, but anyway, I'm
Yeah,
still
I see.
here.
I have to admit you every time, so, but it's fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, you thought I was leaving, and yeah, I'm coming back. Okay.
I'm glad you are still here.
Okay. No, the model is quite good. It presents quite an integrated approach, and it covers quite a good spectrum around what we all thinking about, and brings all the the pieces together. And then just the other day, I had a discussion on the social economy, social economy and social enterprise development. And one of the things that came up in the discussion is that we shouldn't present the social economy as a stopgap measure for market failures or government failures. I think that there's quite a lot of lessons we can learn from that, where it can actually stand up and take its own place, but in this, the socio-economic environment that we find ourselves in. So yeah, so we need some more thinking, and there's quite a lot of thinking globally also going on around that. And I came across the term regenerative economy, but it's exactly to tap into how the economy generates itself, but and the social economy sort of like it comes out quite strongly in there. Thanks.
Thank you, Conrad. That's very interesting. I would like to have a discussion about the regenerative type of economy as well at a stage. Thank you. All right. So what we do further is that we've also combined it with our International Association for Public Participation not only in South Africa, it's internationally, and I'm on the board for this, where we combine our ABCD with the IAP2 spectrum, and I think this works so well with the ABCD approach and the appreciative type of approach. And also, like what we've said in the beginning of the session, is that people's voices are important. Now, when we do projects in infrastructure, and I'm talking about most of the time engineering and constructive type of business, we normally inform people, this is the project, this is what's going to happen. But then also that is giving them objective information, and so that they can understand the process and what's happening. But then there's a process of consultation that we bring in place, and that is where we get feedback and we analyze that feedback so that we can make better decisions. Then the next step is to involve. Now, most of the clients that we work for concentrate on the inform and consult, and it's very difficult for them to move into an involved collaborative empowerment approach. And that is what we've seen with ABCD, is that because we go into this empowerment space, clients don't always feel comfortable with that, because when we start to involve, it is that we actually get the buy-in from the community, and the communities drive those processes from the inside out. And then that is when we collaborate, and then people are part of the process and they are part of the solution. And then only we say that that helps to take hands so that we can empower. And we've seen that because we increase the impact through our inclusive design, we can see that that had a big influence on our results and how we execute our projects. So that's why we've included the International Association spectrum into our model. And then we've got the outside, where we say that this is built on appreciative inquiry. Now, when we talk about the appreciative, I think all of you know that ABCD is actually built on this. We discover, we appreciate what's going on, we dream together, then we do our design, and then we start to see that that leads to sustainability. And I think that is where our model comes from, is that it is not like, I think in the beginning, a one shoe fits all type of process, because it's not to say that we're going to start with ABCD. Sometimes we do skills development and then go into a process where we do ABCD, or even we start with a green light tool. But our basis of everything that we do is this positive core and the belief system that people do know where they want to go. They can tell their stories the best. And the only thing that we need to do is to make sure that we listen to them. And that's why we say with our, and I think most of you know about this, that we really say, let's look at what we've got instead of what is missing. And even when we started this session, we looked at the unemployment rate, and sometimes it's depressing to see that, but then I think that's where the ebook and the stories comes in, and this whole conference is to say that there's hope, there's dreams, and we just need to incorporate that into our thinking. So this is from our side, our model, and is there anybody else or anybody that would like to contribute, to give feedback, or even give some inputs? It's a mouthful, I know, especially this time of the day, eh?
Amelia, I think my question would be, where does local government fit in with this? Because Zutari is a big company and it has a big influence on things happening in the country. But I think when I look in the model there, I don't see where does local government fit in, because I think that is critical for the corporate sector to be seen to be working with government and incorporating whatever they're doing with government processes so that everything is on the same page.
For sure. And that is part of, we cannot, this does not exclude our stakeholder engagement. So we've got private-public partnerships. Conrad knows when we work in a specific area, we need to get COCTA involved and the government, and we work very closely with our municipalities. And also, I think that is a big thing that we, in any case, try to include. And
Amelia? Yes, I think with local government, how local government fits into this, not only local, but provincial and national government. They are our clients. They are mostly Zutari's clients. So they are the one that direct the contracts or the tenders to us. And the model are based on the tools, and that mostly the tools that we are using when we engage with communities.
thank you. And or semi-state type of people that we're working with, yes.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, Conrad.
Yeah, and just to add, it's good that Janine raised that and what Annie was saying now. So effectively, what you are doing as Zutari, you are delivering a public good. So by that implicates governments. It's a public good. It's a public delivery. What you're delivering, and I think that Janine raises. Yes, the model is quite integrated, but let's highlight, of course, your stakeholder stuff. But yes, you're delivering a good job, but it must have an impact in government on. Of course, government will choose Zutari because of this particular ABCD thing and not a tick boxing thing. But what you're doing, you're delivering that's also, but we can tease that out some more, because it must it must have a repercussion back into government in terms of what you do as Zutari.
Sure.
Have a repercussion back into government to reframe that it's beyond just delivery. So and what you're actually demonstrating through this approach is what we need to tie together is that delivery has a developmental impact. So what government must understand, and that's what the private sector must understand also. And that's when we can tie up this whole social economy. And then just other thing that we can bury somewhere in our minds, that human beings are solidarity creatures by nature. So that's something we must sort of bring to the table and highlight. When I start a business, I don't start it as an individual. There's a syndicate behind me or whatever, whether it's a formal market, the formal economy, whether it's capitalism, or even whether it's socialism for that matter. And what we present must not be a stopgap measure because of failures on either side. Thanks. Let me stop that. We will tease that out. Thanks.
And I think that is very crucial. Most of the projects that we are doing are infrastructure projects, and we get our ABCD into that because 30% or a certain amount of the budget needs to go to community development. And if there's a whole stakeholder group, we try to ring fence that money so that we can have a bigger influence on that specific areas so that it's sustainable. It's like Corin said just now, it is about creating that private-public partnerships and the sustainable type of model, but we can't do it alone. So in every area, there's the municipality, there's some local government, there's provincial government, and from every area that we work in, we are trying to get those people and different government sectors involved as well. So thank you. We can tease that out a little bit more as well. Okay. Anything else from anybody before we finish off?
I just wanted to ask about, Conrad spoke about that impact on the municipalities or your clients, the government institutions that you're working with. How do you see that impact happening? Do you think that the ABC approach is starting to infiltrate in the government departments?
Yes.
From our okay, go Anne. Go.
Yeah. From our side, I'm busy with the project on UISP. Is an upgrade of informal settlements, and certainly the ABCD model is so important, because it's not only about all the assets that we use, the terms, methodologies, the tools that we use, the way that we engage with the community, the language that we use is so important. And it starts at top level. It starts with the client, it starts with the funder, which is basically provincial and national government that we engage with basically on a daily basis, as well as local government. And that feeds into the community. So while we do all these engagements, stakeholder engagements at the different levels, we make sure that we use the ABCD tools and methodologies at all of those levels so that it can infiltrate into communities at community level. Yeah. So basically it's integrated into everything that we do.
But are you seeing a difference in the institutional approach? Are they starting to learn, not just the community, but are the institutions, your clients, are they starting to learn?
Yeah, I think Conrad is an example of that, because Conrad is in government, and we've worked closely with Conrad for a number of years. I think he's got a lot of stories to tell of how we integrated ABCD into that space.
And Karen, I think for us it is, I would like to see it going faster and more influential. I think in every area that we work, I can see the difference, because obviously we do ABCD training for the municipal or the provincial people as well. So they are part of the process. So it's not only the citizen in the middle, it is also the people that's involved with that citizen. And it might, perhaps our model does not represent that it's an integrated ABCD, but the citizen might even be the provincial government official that's part of that process. So yes, I really can see in the different areas that we're working that we cannot do the ABCD without the government people. They are driving the process. They are committing to give infrastructure, to even help with the development of the process, to get people on board, networking, social networks, everything. So I think I would like to see it going faster, but at least we're doing something.
Amelia, I also want to add to the conversation, Karen. Chris is also in the government space, and from knowing a little bit about what she's doing, is that she also integrates the ABCD in everything that she does in the government space. So certainly there is definitely a movement and movement towards more ABCD, but it starts with the language that we use when we work in these spaces.
For sure, for sure.
Chris, would you agree if I say that? What would your take be on that?
Okay, I don't think Chris is.
I lost you for a bit with connectivity.
Did you hear my question, Chris?
No, and could you please repeat it?
Now, what I'm saying is that you are also in the public space, so you are also in the government space. And what we're talking about is the fact that we're using ABCD with all of the stakeholders, including government and all the programs and projects that we're involved with. And you are part of government. So I've seen from your engagement with communities that you are using the ABCD models as well, but it all starts with the language. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I will totally agree with that. You were not part of Conrad's session of yesterday, where we had a big discussion about ABCD in government. And yeah, so what we're basically saying is that with us in the National Department of Social Development, part of Sadie's legacy, we've got now an ABCD policy that allows us to use the approach within the provinces, although we've been using it a long time ago in the Eastern Cape. And but I think the biggest thing is the mindset of officials, which I've been working on the past 10 years, for our language to change, to stop labeling. And I also found that myself, you still slip back to your needs-based vocabulary sometimes. And you have to be very careful. You need to look at how you can empower people through what you say and how you say that. And it also makes it important for you when you listen, that you listen openly and that you really listen to what people are saying and how they are saying it to understand better, and not listening to hear what you want to hear. And that makes a difference sometimes in what you're doing. For example, when you presented the model and your question was, do skills development and enterprise development contribute to poverty alleviation? I was one of them that said yes, because poverty alleviation says there is a improvement in the poverty levels. It doesn't say it eradicates poverty. And yes, it contributes to poverty becoming a bit less with the full processes followed, but it doesn't eradicate poverty. And that is where, what you said before, we have to look at the poverty of the mind, the spirit, and the stomach. And if we deal with those three poverties, that is when we talk poverty eradication. So language is critical, yes.
Christella, what happened is we are doing a project in Plainmont, and when we had our meeting with the municipality, they said, when are you going to do the fencing? When are you going to put up a board? We need visible type of things that's in the area. And I said, but that's not what we're going to do. We are going to co-create a master plan, but we're going to find out what your people are saying about it, and we're going to talk to people. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Why? We need this type of infrastructure here now. And it was also a mind shift change. And now the people are getting excited about it because we are including the youth, we are including the indigenous communities, we are including people that's got solutions. And now the municipality says, oh, that sounds interesting.
Conrad's hand is up.
Yeah, and when they say that sounds interesting, that means it reverberated backwards. You know, when you, I don't know if you can remember in 200 years ago when we used to make fire with stones, the shock waves in your body. So it creates shock waves back when they say, and just to Karen's question, are they learning? So it's those type of shock waves. So we need to figure out how to create, I don't want to use the analogy of shooting a gun. I've never shot a gun. That's brutal.
So we creating waves.
Yeah, creating waves. Well, forward and backwards. And that's what we're trying to do. So it's Karen's question, are there? So what we found is that government is sitting up and paying attention, and they need to listen because of the civic activism that we have in South Africa. I always say that, you know, we've got a hyperinflammation of civic voice and civic activism. The looting is, as much as we condemn the looting, but it's about citizens saying, we cannot just sit back or whatever. But there's also on the positive side, lots of civic activism around finding solutions. So we're getting attention, and Sutari is doing a very good job. We just need to scale that up. Thanks.
The communities here are saying nothing for us without us.
Yeah, that comes. That's the civic activism. Nothing for us without us, and you know, all those type of slogans.
Yes.
You know, and I just want to tease Chris about defaulting to the needs-based when she said empowering people. We cannot empower people. We can only work with people. Empowerment comes by itself. So Chris, you've got another language issue. I think, yeah, it's we're getting to Friday now, né? So let's conclude. Thanks.
Can you quickly put your cameras on or your video so that I can take a photo, please? I would love to. Winifred, thank you for contributing, everybody. Alison, did you enjoy the session?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, are you ready? You must smile. You don't have a mask on, so there you are. Ah, Conrad. You're undercover. I want to show you the last share screen so that you can see what Anne and I want to end off with. Can you see my screen? Let's vaccinate everybody in South Africa and in the world with ABCD. I think at this stage we know that our group that's here, our blood type is ABCD, and we can influence the world in a very positive way. So thank you for contributing tonight, and thank you for everybody that participated, even though it's a long weekend for everybody in South Africa. Go drink a glass of wine, and thank you for contributing. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Keep well all.
Bye.
Oh, you've got wine already. I'm gonna start now, Conrad.
Friday. Karen, you must come to South Africa every Friday. We have a glass of wine.
Oh, Conrad.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
You too, Alison.
Bye, Alison.
Thanks.
Thanks for helping out.
Bye, Alison.
Thanks,
Bye.
Alison. Bye.
Are you
Bye,
guys going to
Conrad.
stop the recording so it can go to the cloud?
Let me stop. Let me stop quickly.
Oh yeah, please edit the glass of wine out of the picture. Great presentation. Love it. Yeah. But
Thank you, Conrad. Thanks, everybody.
More shockwaves. Fine.
We will.
Bye.
Nice seeing you.